In less than 2 years as a jockey, one of these young men has already won more than 200 races. What is your name, please?
My name is Jack Leonard.
What is your name, please?
My name is Jack Leonard.
What is your name, please?
My name is Jack Leonard.
2 of these people are imposters. Only one is the real Jack Leonard, and is the only one sworn to tell the truth. Now, here is our host, Bud Collier.
Good evening. Thank you very much, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth, brought to you this week by Arid Cream Deodorant, America's largest selling deodorant. Don't be half safe. Be completely safe. Use Arid Cream Deodorant to be sure. Now may I introduce our panel. What is your name, please?
My name is Polly Bergen.
My name is Ralph Bellamy.
My name is Kitty Carlisle.
My name is Tom Poston.
Panel, will you please follow along with your copies of this first affidavit while I read it? I, Jack Leonard, am a jockey. I am 17 years old. This is my 2nd year of racing. I rode 65 mounts before I won my first race, but I now have more than 200 winners to my credit. So far, I have earned more than $150,000 in jockey's fees. Signed, Jack Leonard. There you are, panel. We have 3 young men, all claiming to be Jack Leonard, teenage jockey. And let's start tonight's questioning with Tom Poston. Tom?
Thank you, Bud. I guess nobody ever calls you Fat Jack Leonard, do they? Number 3, tell me, do jockeys ever take batting practice?
Batting practice? I don't think so.
You don't think so? Number 2, what is a jockey's bat?
Jockey's bat? Hey, you refer maybe to my whip?
Yes, I am referring to that. You ever take batting practice with that?
I never heard that term. I'm sorry.
Well, it's the beginning of the baseball season. I just wondered if you were... Tell me, number 3, do you ever bet on the horses you ride?
Number 3.
Oh, number 3. I'm sorry. No.
Well, I'd like to call you Jack, but I don't really know if you're the one. You don't bet on the horses you ride? How come?
No, well, I'm too young to bet.
Oh, you have to be a certain age to bet?
Yeah, over 21.
Oh, I see. Can you give tips? Is that it? That's legal, isn't it?
Polly Bergen.
Number 1, who's the most famous of all the jockeys?
I don't know. I guess you could, Longden or Shoemaker or Carroll.
Number 2, who was the most famous jockey of all time?
Gee, I don't know. I guess nowadays it'd be our Carroll. He's won the Derby 5 times in a row. That's pretty...
Number 3, what is the big racetrack called in San Francisco?
Santa Anita.
Number 2, what's the big racetrack called in San Francisco?
Santa Anita, I guess.
Number 3, who was one of the most famous trainers?
That would be Fitzsimmons.
Ralph Bellamy.
Well, I'll just follow it up. Number 1, what's the famous track, biggest track in San Francisco?
I guess there's a couple of them up there, I guess. What's your name?
I don't think any of them know. All right, number 2, on a mile track, how many times does a horse pass the grandstand in a mile race?
Once? Twice. Oh.
Well,
Did you say me? Did you ask the question? I didn't hear
how many times would you say, number 2?
What did you say? I didn't hear.
On a mile
Well,
track.
let's see. The mile race. Well, it's a mile. Well, I figured about just once.
Just once. What do you say, number 3?
I'd say once, too.
You'd say once. Number 1, is there a weight limit for jockeys?
No, but it helps if you're light.
Number 2, how is the weight controlled? That is the published weight on a horse.
I didn't understand. What?
Well, if you're carrying more weight than you actually weigh, how is this controlled? How is it?
Oh, well, you're talking about the weights, the lead pad.
Yeah.
We call that a lead pad. You drop that on the horseback.
Kitty Carlisle.
Number 3, it says here that you're 17 years old and you've got $150,000 that you've earned in jockey's fees. I'll bet you have a lot of girlfriends.
No, ma'am.
You don't? Why not?
I'm already married.
When did you get married?
Last year.
Are you married, number 2?
That's right, ma'am.
Number 1, what year did Man of War win the Derby?
I don't think he's ever been in the Derby.
Number 3, Man of War was beaten only once. Can you tell me the horse that beat him?
Upset.
And that's it. Right now it's time to vote, panel, so without consultation among yourselves, will you please mark your ballots? And in so doing, of course, select number 1, number 2, or number 3. Of course, the team of challengers will get the usual $250 for every incorrect vote. Okay, panel, have you all voted? Everybody? Holly, what are you writing, your memoirs? For whom did you vote?
1 to win, 2 to place, and 3 to...
Well, number 1 is your vote then, right? Number 1, okay.
Well, I'll tell you...
Record that as 1 vote for number 1.
Yes, 2 and 3 didn't know. Santa Anita is in Los Angeles. It isn't in San Francisco.
Neither did number
Number 1 didn't name any, so I figured naming none, he's better off than the other 2 who named the wrong one.
Okay, Ralph, what about your selection?
Number 2, mainly on his appearance up there in the box, the way he held the whip. It was a hard choice between 2 and 3, but I think number 2.
Okay, Kitty, your choice.
I voted for number 1 on the Santa Anita basis, and the fact that he said that Man of War had never won the Derby, because I think that's true.
And Tom, who's your choice?
I voted for number 2 here. It's hard to get this card away from him. I voted for number 2 because I like the way he answered his questions in a very straightforward way, and he seemed to know what he was talking about. I don't know how to figure the Santa Anita business, but you could ask me a lot about theaters, and I wouldn't know either, so...
Okay, there we have it now, the way we've all voted in this first round tonight. And if you're voting at home, why, check how well you did as we find out how well we did. We're about to discover which one of these 3 young men is the teenage jockey. So will the real Jack Leonard please stand up? Well, our ladies were first tonight. They did very well on that one. Now let's find out about the others. Thank you, sir. Number 2, would you tell us who you really are and what you do? You got the rest of the votes.
My name is Joe D'Erasmo. I'm a pre-law student at Columbia University, and I've never been to a racetrack in my life.
Certainly you've never been to the one in San Francisco, anyway.
That's for sure.
Number 3, what about you?
My name is Bill Hennett. I'm a senior at Yale University, and I haven't been to a track either.
Yes, Ralph, you have a question?
May I ask, number 1, have you never been to a track in San Francisco? You don't know?
Yes, but when you say San Francisco, we consider around racetrack. When you say San Francisco, you mean either Golden Gate, Tampa, and all
San Fran is the...
Well, you could say either one of the 3.
You didn't remember any, did you?
Well, he said there was...
I said...
He said there are several, it's more than one.
Oh.
That was the way
I
he-
misunderstood.
Well, they did pretty well tonight, and so did the panel. We got half and half there, with 2 incorrect votes at $250 each for a total of $500, gentlemen. Not bad for an evening's pleasure. We trust you've had pleasure here. We've certainly enjoyed having you with us. And so on your way out, will you stop and find there's a year's supply of Rise Instant Lather for each of you? Good night and good riding. All right, panel, let's meet our next group of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Louise Whitefield.
What is your name, please?
My name is Louise Whitefield.
What is your name, please?
My name is Louise Whitefield.
Okay, panel, follow along with this copy of an affidavit. I, Louise Whitefield, am a former high school teacher. I left teaching in 1933 and went to work for the federal government in Washington, D.C. Since 1943, I've worked for the Treasury Department. I am familiar with the collection of income taxes from both individuals and corporations. I am an Internal Revenue Agent. Signed, Louise Whitefield. Well, you heard these three ladies all claim to be Louise Whitefield, Internal Revenue Agent. Let's start the cross-examination with no ulterior motive with Polly Bergen.
There's such enthusiastic applause from these people with the April the 15th honors. Personally, I have nothing to say to any three of these women. But I will ask number two, why, if they take withholding taxes out of your paycheck during the year, do you have to pay again at the end of the year? If you, this is nothing personal, I just wonder.
It just means you haven't paid in enough.
But that's their mistake. They didn't take enough out. Number three, what percentage has to be earned without my services in order to make a corporation of mine a non-personal holding?
What percentage?
Must be earned without my services.
Without your services, it'd have to be 80%.
Ralph Bellamy.
Number one, who's the Commissioner of Internal Revenue?
Dana Latham.
Number two, who preceded him?
Humphrey.
Number three, what's a fiscal year?
Fiscal year is the ending of a taxable year, other than maybe a calendar year, on any month other than the end of a calendar year.
Number one, what person or persons are liable in the event of a false corporation return?
Well, if it's actually false, and they're liable for...
Now, what person or persons are liable?
Well, a person or persons are liable if they have turned in a false report or have not...
Number two, what would you say to that question?
All of them.
Kitty, Carlisle.
Well, number one, I have to have a variety of dresses, to work in. When I make out my income tax, can I take off this dress?
If you use them solely for...
We're a little late, folks, so good night.
Anybody got a tax form?
I'll take the form Kitty has.
If you use it solely for your business, if you set it aside and don't use it for anything else, you can take it off, yes.
Thank you. Number one, two, can you...
Tom Poston, please.
Number two, I just filed my 1958 income tax report. What are my chances of staying out of jail? My mother works for the Treasury Department.
Really?
Too, yes.
That doesn't matter then.
Margaret Poston. I wonder if that would help me at this time.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't help.
We even have our own returns checked by
That was
someone
my
other
next
than
question. Louise, I think you just gave this all. Listen, number one, if I take my business associate, Kitty Carlisle, to dinner, can I deduct that as a business expense on my income tax form?
I wouldn't think so, because that would be certainly your pleasure.
A very nice statement, Kitty. Take a bow.
Kitty, the date is off, honey.
Well, the date is on for voting, though, I'll tell you that. It's time for it. Once again, without consultation, will you mark your ballots and select number one, number two, or number three? Okay, everybody voted? Polly?
Well, I voted for number two. Number one wasn't too clear about the corporation question that Ralph asked, and number three wasn't very clear about the corporation question that I asked, which wasn't very clear when I asked it. But I voted for number two anyway, but I must say she looks much too nice to be an Internal Revenue Agent.
All right, Ralph, what's your selection this time?
Number one, pure hunch.
And Kitty?
Well, I voted for number two. Number one did me out of my dinner date. And number three, I don't know much about corporation taxes, but I don't think it can be that high.
And what about your choice, Tom?
No, I know that the corporation tax isn't that high, but maybe she handles other kinds of taxes. But I still voted for number two.
Okay.
And my reason was because the bell rang. No, I tell you, what happened was I added up my total on page 3 and deducted it from line 9 on page 7, and I came up with number 2.
Thank you very much, Tom Poston. All right. We've made up our minds in a way, and I hope you have too. Let's find out whether we're right or wrong as we discover which one of these ladies is the real Internal Revenue Agent. So let me ask the real Louise Whitefield if she will please stand up. In just a minute, Polly. Number 1, tell us who you are and what you do, please.
My name is Ann Palmer, and I'm a secretary and work for the New York Heart Association.
Thank you very much. And number 2, what about you?
My name is Lynn Morgan, and I operate an antique shop known as the Lynn's Barn in Hopeville, Connecticut.
Thank you very much. Now, Polly, I have one question that's very short, but we're running a little long. What is it?
Why did you make the answer that 80% of my earnings would have to be earned by someone else in order to make my corporation?
Yes, Polly, I think I just didn't understand your question carefully enough.
I think maybe you
All right, checking up the score, we find that there were 4 incorrect votes at $250 each for a helpful day before tax-paying time for you ladies of $1,000 from our sponsor. And on your way out, you'll find a gift package of all of Carter's fine products for you. Good night and good luck. And, Polly, with a figure like yours, you shouldn't ask questions about a corporation. Now, panel, let's meet our third team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Teddy Tucker.
What is your name, please?
My name is Teddy Tucker.
What is your name, please?
My name is Teddy Tucker.
Again, follow along, panel, if you will, with your copies of this affidavit. I, Teddy Tucker, am a skindiver. I have been searching for sunken treasure for more than 10 years. In 1955, I came upon the wreck of a Spanish ship sunk about 1600. It has been called the richest and most important discovery of underwater wealth in the Western Hemisphere in this century. More recently, I have been working on the wreck of the Sea Venture, the British ship which brought the original settlers to the island of Bermuda 350 years ago. Signed, Teddy Tucker. Now, this time, panel, we have 3 gentlemen all claiming to be Teddy Tucker, treasure hunter. Let's begin our questioning this time with Kitty Carlisle. Kitty?
Thank you, Bud. Number 1, how do you locate a wreck?
Well, to do that, we transverse area in the reefs that would be an approximate depth of water around them where a ship could wreck.
Mm-hmm. Number 2, what's the most valuable thing you ever found?
The gold cross and emeralds. The emerald and gold cross.
Of what?
Oh, well, I located this on the Spanish galleon in 1955.
Uh-huh. Number 3, what's the largest thing you ever found?
Well, the largest individual thing would be a cannon.
A cannon? How'd you get it up?
Well, on our boat, we've got a 5-ton winch.
I see. Number 1, what are the bends?
5-ton wench?
I'm going to go skin diving.
It's a kind of winchy type winch. A winchy winch. What are the bends, number 1?
That's when you come up from too great a pressure and you get nitrogen bubbles in your blood.
Number 3.
Tom Poston.
What is responsible for the bends?
Nitrogen bubbles forming in the blood from too quick an ascent.
Thank you. Number 2?
Being under pressure for too great a time.
Number 2, how is this counteracted?
By a very slow ascent and by stopping at stages every 10 or 12 feet.
Number 3,
by deflating the lungs completely before rising.
I see. Number 3, they always talk about pieces of 8, you know. Have you ever found any?
Yes. We found 2,000 at one time in 1955.
Pieces of 8?
Yes, well, actually, some of them were 2 and 4 denomination. A piece of 8 is 8 reales. It's a silver Spanish coin.
Oh, I see.
Polly Bergen, please.
I'm glad I'm not confused. Number two, who invented the aqualung?
Jacques Cousteau.
Number one, Cousteau made a wonderful underwater short, a very famous one that most lovers of underwater swimming have seen. Could you tell me the name of that?
The Silent World.
Number three, what enables a diver to go down quite deep in the water? Generally, it's hard to.
Well, you can do it in several ways. Many people wear lead-weighted belts if you're free diving. If you're in a suit, of course, the suit has that shoe.
I see.
Ralph Bellamy, please.
Number two, who was the captain of the Sea Venture?
Captain Philip Newton.
Number three, where was the Sea Venture bound?
It was bound for Jamestown, Virginia, but it got wrecked on the coast of Bermuda.
Number one, how many people were aboard?
150.
They got all the answers. Number two, how was the identity of the Sea Venture established?
By the markings on the cannons.
And number three, where were these...
All right, go ahead, Ralph, quick.
Where were these markings...
Sorry. As long as I could. It's time to vote. Will you please mark your ballot?
He'd know
and mark them for number one,
This is really...
number two, or number three. Okay, have you marked your ballots? Molly, you all set?
Well, they all knew everything.
Well, for whom did you
Really,
vote?
because I happen to know a little bit about aqualung diving, and they all had right answers. So I voted for number three mainly because he's tall and very slender, and I think a person who would do a lot of swimming would probably have that kind of a build. But it probably isn't.
Ralph?
Number one, and there's a history to this. I started out with a hunch on number two. I went to number three. He seemed to volunteer too much information, so I went to number one.
Kitty Carlisle, who's your selection?
I like number one's explanation of the bends. It sounded very scientific, and I was upset by number three's winch.
Who wouldn't be? Tom, what about your vote?
I voted for number one.
Oh, I don't want to be the only one wrong.
Well, I don't know whether you are or not, but my reason was because I haven't gotten any right so far tonight, and I don't think it's number one, and I want to keep the record straight.
Okay, I hope you're voting a little more normally than we are up here, but let's see who's right and who's wrong as we discover right now which one of these gentlemen is the real deep-sea diver treasure trover. So may I ask the real Teddy Tucker to please stand up. Thank you very much. Number two, would you tell us who you really are and what you do, please?
My name is Jack Soder. I'm sales manager for the H. Rosenhirsch Company, importers of bristles.
Thank you. And number three, what about you, sir?
My name is Dan Hogan. I'm an actor and a former speech teacher at Columbia University.
Well, I guess they're glad somebody was wrong, at least tonight. What's the matter, Polly?
His waistline turned me away from him.
It did.
His hand turned me toward him, but his waistline turned me away. Have you been swimming lately, sir?
Saturday.
Where?
Bermuda.
In Bermuda. Best place to do it. Bermuda and those 5-ton winches. Ah, well, checking our score, we find that there was only one incorrect vote at $250, gentlemen. But if you've enjoyed as much being here as we've enjoyed your company, I'm sure the money was not your main aim. On your way out, you will find that there is a year's supply of Rise Instant Lather for each of you. Good night and good luck. Happy diving. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight, except to remind all of you that this is the time to fight cancer with a checkup and with a check to your unit of the American Cancer Society. Very important, so don't miss up on it. I guess that's all for tonight. Hope you had fun. I did. Good night, panel.
Good night, Bud.
Now, this is Bud Collier saying good night for Rise Instant Lather and Arid Cream Deodorant, and reminding